Women throughout history have been subjected to both beguiling and bewildering ideals of beauty, and taking a look at some of the things that were considered beautiful through the ages proves just how arbitrary beauty standards truly are. Frida Kahlo might have sported a now iconic unibrow in the 20th century, but her fashion statement went against the grain of modern beauty standards. While many people thought she was flouting more modern ideals of beauty, she was actually embracing a centuries-old tradition. To the ancient Greeks, nothing was more attractive than a woman with just one eyebrow. Like Kahlo, ancient Greek women did not just let their unibrows grow freely, but would also take extra measures to make them even more prominent. While unibrows aren't typically considered attractive in modern times, thicker brows are making a bit of a comeback. Model and actress Cara Delevingne, for example, doesn't sport a unibrow, but her thick and full eyebrows helped to spark a modern trend for a bushier brow. Those familiar with the tale of the Trojan War know that Helen, the Spartan queen whose affair with the Trojan prince Paris led to bloody war between their two kingdoms, was famed for her beauty. Sparta was considered to be a land of beautiful women, but the beauty standards were far different back then from what you might expect today. As a queen, the historical Helen, who would have lived roughly 3,500 years ago during the Bronze Age, would have had tattoos of red suns on her chin and cheeks. Her hair would have also been shaved when she was in her teens, and when it grew back, would have been arranged to look like snakes. In classical Greece, which began in the 5th century BC, Spartan beauty standards had changed a bit. Men kept their hair long and styled it, but women were expected to cut their hair off upon marriage and to keep it short for the rest of their lives. In ancient Ireland, a woman's worth often came down to what her hands looked like. While light skin and golden hair were also prized, it was a woman's hands that revealed whether or not she came from a good family. The ideal hands were well-formed with slender, tapering fingers, according to historians, and women of the upper class were expected to have rounded, well-kept nails. Even among the men in ancient Ireland, nail grooming was considered mandatory, and it was considered to be shameful for upper-class men to have unkempt nails. Though many of us today associate the color green with Ireland thanks to St. Patrick's Day, red was actually much more popular in ancient Ireland, and crimson-colored fingernails were all the rage. Who needs spray tans when you're a Renaissance woman? Women during the Renaissance were all about pale skin. Light skin was considered to be beautiful not necessarily for the aesthetic quality, but because paleness served as an indicator of status. A light complexion meant that you were wealthy enough to not have to work outdoors. In Elizabethan times, the more translucent your skin was, the better. In fact, this obsession with light skin was so great that even Queen Elizabeth I herself would apply a powder made of lead to her face. This had the effect of lightening the skin, but also slowly poisoned the wearer. You win some and you lose some. The Western ideal of beauty has trended towards slimness for more than a century, but for a stretch of time, full-figured women were in vogue. Renaissance painters such as the 17th century Flemish artist Peter Paul Rubens painted beautiful women with ample flesh on their bones, and his works are still celebrated in modern times. Today, the word Rubenesque is still used to refer to voluptuous women. While many modern women desire to have a flat stomach, the Rubenesque ideal favored a thicker midsection, and rounded stomachs were considered the height of femininity. During the Renaissance, larger women were considered particularly beautiful. Voluptuous curves were viewed as a sign of wealth, and in Italy were also thought to be a sign that a woman would bear healthy sons. While we often think of corsets primarily as a way to achieve a thinner waist, they were also used to accentuate the bosom and the hips and to give less endowed women the appearance of substantial curves. In the 1920s, the feminine ideal of beauty was a woman who looked like she was on the verge of passing out at any moment. Linda Lynn, a psychologist at Boston's Emmanuel College, explained to the Daily Burn that femininity was tied to frailness, weakness, and vulnerability a century ago, saying power, strength, and muscularity were thought of as masculine traits, and gyms were for bodybuilders and athletes. Even as recently as the 1960s, strenuous exercise was viewed as something that could damage a woman's health. It wasn't until the 1990s that the idea of a toned, strong, muscular woman began to be considered not only acceptable but also attractive. While being toned in modern times is considered aesthetically appealing, the new standard isn't necessarily an improvement over the old one. As Linda Lynn explains, the culture is defining what's attractive, and it's not more accepting. Now women can feel bad if they don't have the right muscle tone.